What's up? How you doing? It's me back again, Analog Attack. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Flying solo today. It's been a while since I've done that. And the title of today's installment is The Professionals, the band the Sex Pistols could have been, which, I know is a ridiculously contrarian title for an episode, and it's also an Alan Partridge reference. But, I really think that the Professionals put out some of the best punk rock on the planet between 1980 and 1981. So let's get into the Professionals. Great band, one of my favourite bands of all time. Let's get to it. I've got all the records, so let's get to it. So let's go back. It's January 1978. The Sex Pistols break up, and the next year, Steve Jones and Paul Cook are back with another band, and they call themselves the Professionals. So we know that Steve Jones and Paul Cook. Steve Jones sang and Silly Thing, and then Paul Cook sung Lonely Boy. And obviously those two songs are a little bit different from the earlier Pistols songs with John Lydon singing, but I love those two songs. And in that era of the Sex Pistols, the bass player was a guy called Andy Allen. Well, he played bass on Silly Thing. And Andy Allen was in a band called the Lightning Raiders, and we'll get to the Lightning Raiders later. So just remember the name Andy Allen and the band, the Lightning Raiders. We'll get to them at the end. So these three guys, they get signed to Virgin Records and they start recording. And in 1980, they put out two singles on Virgin. The first of these singles is this one. There we go. Just Another Dream. Killer song. Like I said, it's that sort of Silly Thing type punk, catchy punk, with Steve Jones's sort of huge guitar sound, one of the best guitar sounds in the history of rock and roll. So that's what you get with the Professionals. Steve Jones singing as well, and it's backed with Action Man. So that came out in July 1980. They'd re-record this later for a B-side, but this was the original recording of it. And then moving along a bit, the tail end of 1980, you get the second single, 1, 2, 3. And let's have a look. This is the poster sleeve. I'm not going to show you it. It's a bit of a pain to put back. But so second single, 1, 2, 3. But this is sort of a remake of a song called Second to None, which Steve Jones originally wrote for American punk band The Avengers back in 1978. So they sort of redid that song, renamed it, and with Steve singing obviously. But this is one of my favourite Professionals songs. Great song. And there are promotional videos for 1, 2, 3 and Just Another Dream on the YouTube, and they're really great. So I think I'll put links to those in the description of the video, because they're really they're well worth a watch, let me tell you. So I guess around this time, so they've got these two singles, and they're also recording their debut LP, and I think a song for a Virgin compilation, Cash Cow. But the problem is Andy Allen has some legal problems with Virgin. They're not paying him royalties, he says, and I think he tried to sue Virgin Records, and so they ended up sort of shelving the album and that compilation track. So they never released it on vinyl. So we'll get to that in a bit. Let's sort of get to the next two singles. So you move along to 1981, and the third single will be this one, Join the Professionals. Not too keen on the jacket on this one, but I like a little pop-up. And of course Andy Allen is out of the band now, and you've got Ray McVie and Paul Myers in the band now. So this is the third single, and Join the Professionals was in that film, wasn't it? Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains, that film about the sort of fictional all-girl punk band. And Steve and Paul appeared in that movie in a fictional punk band called The Looters, and the actor Ray Winstone was the vocalist of this sort of fictional punk band called The Looters. So I think there's some footage of that on YouTube as well, so I think I'll put that in the description too, because that's a great bit of footage from a great film. So that's the third single, and then the last single from that era is this one. It's called The Magnificent. I love the design of this record. I'm pretty sure I've seen like a t-shirt of this, and I think they might have used this for like a compilation CD, I'm not sure, but yeah, so it's The Magnificent, and then on the B-side is the sort of re-recorded version of Just Another Dream. So that's, yeah, 1981. So like I said, the first LP didn't get released, so what happened was they ended up doing or re-recording or remaking another record, and that ended up being the first record. But so let's go in the sort of proper order with this. So this should have been the first LP, The Professional, self-titled. I love the jacket on this, and there you go, that's the back sleeve. Only Steve and Paul, none of the other lads in the band pictured. But first song, Little Boys in Blue. Now, I don't know if you know this band. There's a band from England that were called Meatfly, and Meatfly was Steve and Calv from Heresy, and they did a cover version of this on their second LP. I think it's called Fatness, the LP. I think it's their second LP, but I always wondered why that song was a little bit different sounding to the rest of the record, because the rest of the record is more sort of raging, sort of fast hardcore. But of course, years later, I'd realised that it was a cover of this Professional song. So Steve and Calv were a little bit ahead of the game in sort of, you know, giving props to the Professionals. So fair play to them. So yeah, this has never been released properly on vinyl. This is a bootleg. Could be a Japanese bootleg. I say that because you kind of often see this record in Japan, and American friends sort of say that they never see it. So this is actually the one to get if you can find it, because there's another version which people say it's official, but I don't believe it. You have to, if anyone knows, please let me know, because this is a different version with different track listing, different artwork. Doesn't sound as good. It's nowhere near as good sounding as the other record, and sort of the tracks in a different order than the other one. So yeah, that one is the one to get. But if you can't get that, then make do with that. Or if you really have to, you can always buy it. There's a CD now, so you could sort of make do with that, I guess. But so everyone missed out on the first LP back in the day. So what everyone got was this, which is I Didn't See It Coming, which came out in 1981, November. It is a good record, but like, I remember when I first started talking about the Professionals, and I think at that time people I was talking to still thought this was the record that I was talking about, and they were sort of like, it's a bit sort of too poppy, a bit commercial, a bit overproduced. And it is, I mean, compared to that other record it is, but I still say that this is a really good record. It's got re-recorded versions of, you know, some of the songs from the first LP proper. And then, yeah, you can kind of see why people might have been put off a little bit. I mean, it doesn't look very punk at all, whatever that means, but you know, they've sort of touched up the picture, so it's like these pink and sort of pastel colours on the photos. So yeah, but it is a good record, but the other one is way better. And then that was the end. That was the end of the Professionals until they reformed in kind of recent times. They put out a new album out in 2017, but no Steve Jones, although I think he does play guitar on one or two tracks. I haven't actually heard it. I should definitely check that out. It could be a decent album, who knows. So that's the Professionals. Do you remember when I was talking about Andy Allen and the Lightning Raiders? Well, that was the band that he was in. So there's a couple of guys called Johnny Hodge and Duncan Dangerson Sanderson who would go on to be in this band, the Lightning Raiders. And this is an important record because Little John and Dangerson play bass and lead guitar on this record called Twink from the Pink Fairies. Do It, 1977, killer record. So both of those guys would go on to join the Lightning Raiders a little bit after this, or maybe at the same time, I'm not sure. But yeah, I had to show this because this is a great record too, and that has the connection with the Lightning Raiders. So the Lightning Raiders' first single is called Psychedelic Music. It's punky, a little bit psychedelic, as the title implies. So you've got Little John on guitar, not Big John from the Exploited, Little John, Andy Allen on bass, and then Paul Cook and Steve Jones play on this record, and Steve Jones produced it, and possibly, you know, they were doing it as a favor for Andy playing bass on Silly Thing, who knows. But this is a great record, first single, psychedelic music. I mean, it's on a major label, Arista, and well, we'll see what happens later with this band. But I'll get to the next single. The next single comes out, Andy Allen's out, the lineup's changed, and the second single is Criminal World. Now this is, I said 7-inch, this is the 12-inch version on Hard Rock series. It's Dutch. I love this series. I've got like a Motorhead, a Girls School one, I think, as well. So as you can imagine, it's 12-inch, 45 RPM. Sounds amazing. This is killer single, two tracks. The Lightning Raiders. Here it goes. This is interesting. I'll read this. It says, the Lightning Raiders. Since 1980, the Lightning Raiders are having their present band members, John Hodge, Sandy Sanderson, Gus Wilde. Now, Gus Wilde was the drummer with Johnny Thunders and Chrissy Hine band, but he's the singer on this, I think. Yeah, he is. And then Bruce Irvin, who was in Sean Tyler's band and was in Kilburn on the High Roads. But it says, what sort of music they're playing will be known very soon. Heavy metal, hard rock, it says. But it's not really heavy metal. That has got a bit of a new wave of British heavy metal feel to it. And it says their forthcoming album is called Sweet Revenge, to be released in the autumn. This album is produced by Gordon Hale and Will Reed Dick. Now, of course, the sad thing is they got dropped by Arista. The album never got released, and the only taste that we had of that album was this 4-track promo with 4 songs that should have been actually on Island Records, like a subsidiary of Island Records called Revenge Records. It's a 4-track promo only, 12-inch called. It's got Sweet Revenge, Rowdy's Addiction, and Soul Rescue. But as I said, Arista dropped them. The record never came out. So this is sort of a bit of a collector's item, I suppose. But yeah, such a shame that the record never came out. And possibly there is a compilation CD of Lightning Raiders songs, and possibly there's more songs from that unreleased record. So this is a short and sweet video because the Professionals and the Lightning Raiders both had very short but very sweet careers. I love both these bands. So if you've never listened to the Professionals, or you've maybe only heard the first LP, please check them out. I think you'll be really, really pleasantly surprised. So that's it for today. Until next time, stay healthy and stay clean.